Hi, I'm Izzy and I'm your host for today's My Career podcast. Today I am speaking with Kalila, who is doing tax and legal at KPMG, and also Rav, who is studying towards her audit apprenticeship at KPMG. They've both been there for just under 2 years. One's been there since October and one has been there since September 2024. So tune in to hear about how they found out about apprenticeships, their journey to applying, and what they love most about working at KPMG. So Kalila, can you please introduce yourself?
So my name's Kalila. I'm in the KPMG Tax and Legal Apprenticeship and I started in October of this year.
Amazing. And Rav?
Hi, I'm Rav. I'm an audit apprentice and I've been at KPMG for just over a year now.
Amazing. So you've both been there a little while. How did you decide to do an apprenticeship? I think, Kalila, let's start with you. So you're at school, you're thinking about, your next steps. What did that process look like for you?
So originally I was all about the university route. I just thought that was the most traditional way to go and schools really push it. And I really did want to get a nice degree. I was really interested in economics. And it was literally just one day I was sat at home and I thought, why don't I explore my options? I know that especially in the finance sector, apprenticeships are really starting to boom and they're becoming more accessible. So I just had a look around. I actually used Rate My Apprenticeship to have a look to compare them. And I found that I thought, why don't I try something different? And I can still have that experience of studying, but I get the experience from working. And additionally, it will help me understand what my future is going to look like in a professional workspace. So I thought there's no harm in applying. I might as well just add it on top and yeah.
Yeah. And how many did you apply for?
So the first time around, because I retook my A-levels, I ended up applying really late. So I really only applied to one because most of the deadlines were gone. So when I decided to retake a year, I really made sure to take into account when the applications opened. And I ended up applying for about 7 or 8. I applied for not only finance ones, but also law and real estate, really just trying out any options.
Cool. So you kind of went down the approach of, let's look at what I want to do. You narrowed it down a bit by doing kind of 7 or 8 applications and then went with the process from there.
So my parents went down the traditional uni route. So did many people in my family. So she didn't really know much about apprenticeships. I think that for a lot of our parents' generations, apprenticeships was definitely plumbing or electrical. So they didn't really understand finance or the new kind of different types of apprenticeships. But she was really open, and I think that comes from my school really setting it in a positive light and making it seem like a good option. So when I had told her that I was interested in it, she was really just I'm gonna let you take charge of this. And she was interested when I was doing assessments. She was, what's this like? Is it a proper interview? Do they ask you these questions? Do you need a CV? So she was more just interested in the process, and I think that kind of put me at ease knowing that she had as many questions as I did.
Yeah.
I felt okay, this is something completely unique to us. So I'm just going to give it my best go. And my family was all really proud. They were all really supportive and they're trying to get other people in my family now to.
And Rav, what was your experience of that?
So I know a lot of parents say go to university. That's definitely the route to do. But I feel like my parents were quite the opposite. So my dad was looking to apprenticeships. Even when I was choosing my A-levels, he was saying, I know you want to look into English or film. Why don't you explore something completely different? You might like it. So I chose economics as an A-level and then through economics, KPMG came to my school and they talked about the apprenticeships they offer. Within the economics and business department, they all were really pushing apprenticeships a lot more than university, especially because there's a lot more apprenticeships with a link to finance and business. So once I heard about KPMG, I signed up for their talent community, so that's how I found out when the application's open. And then I literally applied the day it came out. I was really eager, I think, because I knew a lot about KPMG through their experience. That was the one I was really desperate for. So I did apply for a few others, only 2 or 3, but I knew I wanted KPMG more than others, so I pushed for that one more. And as soon as I got it, I was happy and I was fine to push the other ones away because that's what I wanted.
Yeah. And that's really kind of shows the power of school outreach as well. The fact that they came to your school and did a talk and then you joined the community and then the day it came out, you applied. I mean, that's exactly what young people need to be experiencing, right? I know, I remember at my school, they took us all to a university fair, but then when it came to the apprenticeships fair, it was, if you want to go, you have to make your own way there. And I think that the fact that even they pushed apprenticeships in your business and economics makes so much sense, because you're right, there are more in finance, business services than probably a lot of sectors at the moment. So that's great that you did the application straight away. And how long was the process from kind of the minute you put the application in to getting that offer?
So there's 5 stages of the application. The first is just like putting in your details. The nice thing about KPMG is that you don't need a CV.
Okay.
So I just had to put in details in any work experience I've done. They also have work experience themselves, and they said that if I do that, it will prioritise my application. So it was nice to put that in there and know that my application will be like more prioritised. And then after that, I sort of had to do some skill-based tests, sort of what would you do in this scenario, and then had an online interview as well. And it wasn't like a person online, so I did some other ones where it was actually a person online with me, but instead it was a scenario, and then you sort of talk to a screen, and then it's just sent off straight away. And then after that, I had the launch pad, so that was the in-person interview. You had like a group interview at first, and then a one-to-one with like a senior partner or someone who's been at the firm for a long time. And then all of those stages, you have like a week to send those in. So I try and get them in as soon as possible. I think I applied late October and I got my offer late November, so it took a month to get it all.
Pretty quick, I think, in the grand scheme of things, and what a lot of young people are experiencing this year, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I know you've kind of touched on the process there, but I think that's what young people want to know about. And I think KPMG's is very unique in respect of the Launchpad. You know, the name, you know, it's kind of one of a kind in that. Not many young people really know what that is, I guess, when they first get that email saying they're invited to the Launchpad. So can we talk a bit about that and how you found the whole experience? So Kalila, let's start with you. Like, you know, you get invited to this day. What does it look like, and how does it work?
So mine was actually at the Oval, and I was really excited because I'd never been anywhere like that before. So I woke up really, really early because mine was at 7:30. So I woke up at like 4. Travelled there. And when you get in, it's really nice. They make sure that you have a breakfast. So if you didn't have time like me, you feel prepared. You get to actually mingle with people that you could be potentially working with. So you feel more at ease. And then you go in and you get like a talk by people that have worked at the firm for a long time. And I really found that quite inspiring because it shows that actually you can have a lot of career progression in the firm. And it was really nice to just hear from those senior people, hear about things that they've done in their job and the opportunities that they've had. And then you get to speak to current apprentices. So that's really nice. You get to ask them like the real nitty-gritty questions. It's like, what's the first month like? What are the exams like? And they're all really honest. And then we have like an event where you get to learn about KPMG's values. And I really like that because you feel like you're not just being quizzed and asked and prodded about yourself, that actually KPMG are trying to show you why you should work for them. So you feel invited to work there, and it's quite fun, very interactive. It puts you at ease. And then you have an interview with, like Rav said, a senior partner or someone really high up. And I like that because it shows that actually the people that are quite high up in the company still care about the E-grades, as we call them, or the new intake. So it shows that everyone really does care about you. And my interview went really well. The person that I was speaking to, I felt like it was a conversation. He put me at ease, and the questions I thought were actually made me think, but in a good way. And if I felt nervous, there was always like, take a breath, you know, and really think about this. So I think the Launchpad for me was actually one of the main reasons as to why I picked this apprenticeship.
Wow. And I think it's really important to highlight the fact that they put you at ease because, you know, this is your first probably proper interview ever, and you're interviewing at one of the big 4. So like, it is a scary thing. And the fact that they gave you that time, and especially at a Launchpad, there's a lot of people, right? It's like in the hundreds.
Yeah, there was a big...
Yeah. So that's very overwhelming for a 17, 18-year-old to go into that environment in the first place. So I think that is a really key thing to highlight, is that you were put at ease. You know, obviously it's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking for anyone, but you felt quite comfortable at the end of that process. And Rav, what was yours like? Was it in Manchester?
So mine was up in Brighton.
Brighton?
I got the afternoon slot.
Okay.
Obviously it was a long travel, so it was probably about a 4-hour train. But
Seaside though.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
well, it was raining.
Oh,
It was like November time, but
not fun.
yeah. But because it was the afternoon, so a lot of people had already had their interviews and stuff. So I think that at first was a bit daunting, knowing that you're going after all these people. What if they've already got the offer and there's not enough space for you? But then you have to put into reality that I've applied so early. There's probably going to be spaces for me left. But yeah, it was a similar process. So it's like split into teams. So you'll have like a carousel. So some people might be doing the group session first. Some people might be doing it last.
Okay.
And then in my team, so I had the group session first. Then I learned about the KPMG values and sort of they did like a little quiz. And then after that, I had my interview last. I think some people prefer having the interview first, just getting out of the way, rather than doing it last because you've got to sort of have that daunting weight on you the whole time. But I think it sort of calmed me down because the learning about the values is really important. They said that part is just, it's not assessed at all. It's just time for you to like meet your colleagues, meet the people who are volunteering, and also meet the people that are also applying, like understanding why they want to apply as well. It was nice seeing people who are like in the same years as you and they're going through the same feelings as you. So I found that was really helpful. And then similarly, had a really nice one-to-one interview. I've actually spoken to that partner quite a lot now. He's in the same department as me. So it's nice to see how he was able to help me accept my offer, and now I actually work with him, which is really nice.
Full circle.
Yeah. It's nice seeing him in the office and he'll say hi and he actually remembers me, which is nice. So I think my experience is definitely positive. I think it's one experience that's quite unique to KPMG, and I think it is why a lot of people do choose KPMG at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think when you're trying to like navigate A-levels, revision, exams, school, social life, and also applying for apprenticeships, it's a big thing to kind of navigate. How did both of you cope with that in terms of, balancing everything? And how have you taken that into your apprenticeship? Because one question that we always get is, what's the work-life balance? How do you manage your study time, your exams, your full-time job, whilst also seeing family, friends, going to the gym, all of that kind of thing? So, Kalila, can we start with you? How was that at the time for you? And, how's that carried through into your transition into the workplace?
For me, because when I decided to apply the second round time, I applied to quite a few. I firstly made a separate email altogether.
Wow.
Because it's really difficult when you've got junk email, your subscriptions, and then important apprenticeship emails. So having a separate email really helps, like having folders for each application, for each company, just to keep things really organized. And I also made sure to prioritize time for my studies. Like you do want to apply and you want to make sure that you're prepared for all these interviews, but you need your A-levels. And then you also need downtime. So I made sure that like the weekends were for me and for my studies. And the thing that I liked about KPMG is you didn't have too long to wait in between hearing back. So that way you could really plan for the next event. You knew if I pass this interview, okay, here's the next thing. And on the website, it literally has like step 1, step 2, step 3. So when you've passed, when you know what's coming up next. So I would use that and I'd put in my calendar, okay, launchpad on this day. So separate maybe 1 or 2 hours in the next week to prepare for that. And I think carrying that into my working life, calendar's a really big thing. I love a good calendar hold to just make sure that if I have work due, I know the deadline, I know when it needs to be done, I know how far I'm coming along with it. And I was saying to Rab before this that I like to be really transparent about how much I can do, because KPMG really push about our capacity and how much work we can actually take on at a certain time. So it's really good to be really honest about that. If you don't have time to do the work, then you have to say that. Don't overload yourself. Don't stress yourself out too much, because especially in the finance sector, burnout is a real thing. People do tend to feel the pressure to need to take on a lot of work. So just being really honest and trying to be as organized as you can, whether that's a calendar, whether you like to color code things, and making sure that you do have time on the weekends for yourself.
Yeah, 100%. I've never heard that tip before about people making a new email, and I love it. So I'm going to tell a lot of people about that, because then there's really no excuse that you missed your online test or something. And Ralph, what about yourself? Like how was that process for you?
So I think that's why I applied so early. I think I tried to get all my applications before January time.
Yeah.
Because then I knew that was when after January, I need to focus on my A-levels. And then I also, like at my college, they prioritize having a strict schedule. So they said you need to do like a minimum of 1 hour of each subject like a week. And then we'd have like regular exams to prove that we are doing the revision. So it ensured that I was like blending my revision alongside applying for my apprenticeships. And then I didn't just like prioritize one and then forget about the other. And then in terms of actual work, I think that really helped my work. I think I also do like colouring my emails. I think it's really fun. And so it just makes me enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah, when it's pretty and pink stuff.
Yeah. And then like I do focus on my audit work, but sometimes I have like other priorities, like student recruitment events. So I think making your manager and your like in charge, which is assistant manager, aware of any other priorities you have. A lot of people do say, oh, they do like picking up kids, or like sometimes they'll go to the gym afterwards. They need to make your like team members aware of, if you need to finish at 5, this is why, and this needs to ensure that it's done. If you understand like your team is going to help getting all the work papers done, people who have less busy work, they can help pick up your work. They might have more experience with it. If you need help, you need to say it straight away. I think I struggled with that a lot at first. I'm quite a people pleaser, so I'd rather just say, yeah, I can do it, even though I can't. And that only affects me. It doesn't, like, I'm the one struggling then, not them. So if I'm clear that this is what I can do, this is what I've worked on before, they understand. And then if there's the ability to help coach me on this, then I can do that and sort of expand my branch of work that I can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think learning how to say no is a really hard thing when you start your first job, because you do want to look the best and do everything and take everything on, and then it starts to all come together, and then you're needed so many different places, and then it gets quite tough. So I think learning about that and just respecting your own time is so important to learn quickly in that first job, because, you know, as you said quite rightly, it's only going to come back to bite you, and then it's only going to affect what, you know, your reputation and things, and we definitely don't want that to happen. So no, that's really interesting. And I think one thing that you've both mentioned quite a bit is, you know, that's important to KPMG and that's how you find it. Like, what would you say is one of, you know, well, 1 or 2 or 3 of the reasons that you decided to go with KPMG? And how do you think they differ in terms of other employers? You know, if any of your friends are doing apprenticeships elsewhere, like, yeah, what would you say to a young person who's maybe a bit confused and how they know if KPMG is for them? Rav, let's start with you.
I think the fact that KPMG actually go to schools, I've been to quite a lot of like student recruitment events, and I've actually seen a lot of the other big fours attending them. It's mainly KPMG that are pushing that. I think that's what made me choose it. It showed they actually cared about me as a student wanting to pursue an apprenticeship. They also make sure that the people volunteering are quite young as well, so they've recently started an apprenticeship scheme, or they understand what it's like to be in that boat. So having people who understand your experience was quite nice, and it shows that you won't be in this experience alone. When I'm in my day-to-day role, there's quite a lot of people that are young, even around my age. They're still like in their late 20s. Like, it's still really young. So I think having people that are just like you, it shows that you're not alone in this boat, and people do care about you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kalila?
I think for me, it was just the support that I got throughout the application. Like, you're given a body at the start, so any early on questions I had, I could just go and you can literally easily ask them. You could send them an email. You had the chat line on the website, so I felt really connected from the jump. And then I really liked hearing the stories of the people that actually worked there through the Launchpad event. Hearing someone say that they spent like 25 years at this firm and they're not bored, they've still had so many things to do, the career progression for me, that really inspired me. And when I got that, I felt really just happy and supported. I feel like as well with KPMG, they focus on such a broad amount of things in terms of what they do for the wider community and like what their goals are for the future. I like that, like, we have a good focus on AI, but it's not the only thing that we focus on. You can definitely find any niche that you have, any passions that you had before school, you can still continue them here through like student recruitment or just asking to do it. So that's, I think, for me, the main reasons why I picked KPMG.
Yeah. And again, what kind of tips and tricks would you give to young people that are navigating this world and perhaps, you know, they've got 3 offers, they don't know which one to pick? What would you tell them to do?
I think reaching out to people on LinkedIn is really important. I've had quite a lot of people ask me, what's my experience been at KPMG? They've even asked to have like a video call just like go through like any top tips whilst they're applying. So like practicing their interview, which I thought it shows they're actually quite passionate about being at KPMG. And it's nice when they reach out and say, I got an offer thanks to you. So it's nice to show that you're helping people be in the same stage. But I think, yeah, if you network and reach out to people, it's going to definitely benefit you. You'll understand more what it's like working there before you actually join. So I think definitely doing your research and also I looked at KPMG, I looked at their values. So we have like values like together for better. And I think that really aligned to me. So doing my research and what happened at the company when I joined was really important as well.
Mm-hmm. I think you're both going to get lots of requests after this for those one-to-one calls. For sure, the messaging will be out there. And Kalila, what about yourself? Anything that you would say?
I had a good old-fashioned pros and cons list where after an interview for a company, I would literally just sit there and write, okay, this is what I liked about it and this is what I didn't like. And that really helped me to just visualize and actually see what company I did prefer. And I remember after an interview with another company, I came back to my mum and I was like, oh, I don't know which one to pick. Like at this point, I had like 3 offers. I was like, how do I pick?
Nice position to be in, though.
It was great compared to the year before where I had nothing and went back to school. So it was a good position to be in. But I spoke with my mum and she genuinely said, like, here's how you looked when you came back from this interview. Like you were elated, you were excited to speak about it. You had so much to say. So I definitely think go with your gut. Like really think about how the interview made you feel, how the process made you feel. Were you nervous? Did you feel anxious the whole time or were you excited? And then just do what you feel is right for you. To reach out to people, get their opinions. By the end of the day, like just go with your gut and yeah.
And I think it's quite a similar process when you're like picking your secondary school. You know, when you go around them all and you think like, yeah, I can see myself there, even like in the uniform, you know, like, can you see yourself in that environment? I do think you just get a feeling when you know what's right for you. So no, that's great to hear. Thank you both so much. And we've touched on there the values of KPMG. Now, what other things do you do outside of your role? Like any networks? Rav, you've mentioned the student recruitment piece. Like what opportunities are there for an apprentice at KPMG? Kalila, we'll start with you.
So there's loads of opportunities. We have so many networks. There's the student recruitment one, which is great because you get opportunities like this podcast. I did a careers fair, which I'm really passionate about going to speak to young people because it is a very daunting process. And there's loads of those, like we have weekly emails about, do you want to sign up? But then also outside of work, you have like sports opportunities. So there's the netball team, there's the football team, so that you can still connect with people in your work, but doing a passion that you love. We have the women's like network at KPMG and they're always pushing for people to come. They're always getting you involved. So it's not difficult for you to find. They make it very obvious and accessible for you, which I like.
Yeah, and Rav?
So when I was at the work experience, they actually talked about the networks and they had people from the networks sort of talking about what they've experienced. So I think the fact that I knew that there was a seat network at KPMG before I joined, I think that was really important to me to know that I was represented at my place of work. So then I joined the C Network and I've been sort of helping the Manchester like side of it branch out. There's a lot of seats in London and Birmingham, but it's nice to represent the North as well.
Yeah.
And then I also helped at being a back to school champion. So that helps with like apprentices going back to their old school and talking about their experience of doing an apprenticeship instead, which is really nice as well. And it links to the student recruitment team as well. So it's nice that there's a lot of work that you can do outside of what your apprenticeship roles are. There's the opportunity to always learn more about like KPMG and yourself as well. I think you learn a lot about yourself when you volunteer for stuff.
Yeah.
We also have sort of like a volunteering scheme every year. So our charity this year is Fair Share.
Okay.
So we have opportunities to go to the warehouse site and help pack the food and actually deliver it to like the local communities as well. So it's nice that KPMG actually support a charity every year and give back, and we're able to give back like an hour of our pay to the charity if we want to. So I think it's important that whilst we are like sort of a finance related role, giving back to the community is really important, either through apprenticeship schemes or like charity work. It's really nice that KPMG do that.
Yeah, for sure. And how did you both know that this role was for you? Because I think when we're speaking to young people, you've got tax, audit, you've got apprenticeships in law, like you said, Kalila, you've got real estate. There's so many different programs. Why did you choose this program and how did you know about it? Because I don't think there's much, not many young people would know the details of tax or audit at 17, 18. So, yeah, what was your decision-making process around that, Rav?
I think even though like I have senior members, they still don't know what audit is. They think it's just accounting. I'm not an accountant. Like, I do an accounting qualification, but I specialise in audit. So I think even when I joined like KPMG, I was choosing audit and I didn't really understand what I was choosing. I understood the ACA qualification. I knew that if you have that qualification, you can kind of go into any sector. Like every job's going to need someone who does their accounts. So there's like that job security. So I think that's why I applied for audit, because I knew that you get that qualification.
Yeah. And Kalila?
Same like Rav, I literally had no idea really what tax and legal was at the beginning. But I knew that I loved economics and I really wanted to have that kind of integrated into whatever I was going to do. So I know that the tax is a big part of economics. And because I was unsure about like law, real estate, you get that legal aspect, hence it being tax and legal. And I think when it comes to deciding what you want to do, just to have a look at firstly what they offer, because different firms will offer different career paths, and then do some basic research. Like don't struggle too much if you don't understand the acronyms or if you don't know, for example, the CT rate or like they're not going to
I don't even know what that means.
They're not going to expect you to know that. And I think going into the interview, I was worried that that was something that I was going to need to know. But people are more just interested into why you picked this. And sometimes it's literally just, I went on a whim. I wanted to be different.
Yeah.
I knew that audit was the biggest capability in KPMG. So I was like, let me just do something slightly different, try something new before. And yeah, I was just wanted to be special.
Yeah, love that. And I'm sure you get this question all the time, but I think it's really important. Let's say it on the podcast. So then every time someone asks you this question, you can send them the link. What do you do as a typical day in the life? Like, what does your day-to-day job look like? If you're trying to explain to an alien, or aka me, what you do day to day, what does that look like? Kalila, let's start with your role.
So now that I've just come back after Christmas, it's kind of our busy season. So
okay, straight into it.
Yeah, a lot more work. So a typical day, get to the office, have a cup of tea, kind of warm up to the day, you log on. I like to check my emails first, organize those, put specific emails where they need to go. And for tax, it's a lot of just advising people. We do a lot of compliance. So you have to file taxes as part of the law. So we help big companies with that, because when you have a lot of companies, a lot of money, it's very complicated. And with the implementation of, I'm going to sound really fancy here, but Pillar 2, that's like a new global tax rule. So because that's so new, people are really interested in it and my work, and they're really interested in understanding it and kind of championing Pillar 2 as one of the big four. So we do a lot of work on that. We have a lot of newsletters that go out to keep you up to date, because tax legislation is always changing. So it's good to read those. And my daily task is more to kind of help with the risk side. So people might say, oh, can you draft this letter up for me? And then they'll tell me the instructions. I'll go and have a go at it, send them back to them. And they might tell me if I need to make changes, then we move forward from there. So it's a lot of just liaising with colleagues and trying things on your own at first. But if you're unsure, reaching out and then having a go.
Yeah. And is that what you expected it to be?
I didn't really know what to expect at first, because when you first started working, it is kind of slow at the beginning, especially because of the time that we joined end of year. Things were kind of closing up. So at first, you're also at college as well for a decent amount of time. So you're kind of prioritizing your studies. But I was definitely surprised at the levels of support. Going in, you think, oh, maybe a partner or a senior manager is going to ask me to do something. And if I don't know how to do it, they're going to get mad at me. But
that's it. You're out.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to get fired. But no, they're really understanding of your position and how you actually don't know anything and how you have to learn. So they always want you to reach out. They'll say, have a go. But if my instructions aren't clear, like, please come back to me, reach out to someone in your team. So I think a big part of work is really leaning on your team, leaning on not only the senior people, but the people at your level as well, because they were in your position a few months ago. So they really are really helpful.
Yeah, and Rav, tell us about your day-to-day.
So within audit, there's different sectors. So we have like KP, which is private equity, which is the department I'm in. We have public sector, we have FS, which is financial services, so like insurance banks. And then we have CLR, which is like the FTSE 100.
Okay.
So all of them do like similar work. It's just the type of industry that the client's in. So typically we'll have like it depends on when you join the audit as well. So you might be put on a job where they're at the planning stage, which is like either at this like summertime, or it could be like near the end. And then you have your busy season, which is like January to March. That's when people are trying to sign their audits and get most of the group work done. It's like the sampling and stuff. And then you have the stats, which is towards the end. So the accountant will sort of like, they'll write up all the statutory accounts. They send it to us and we like cross-check and reference it. We ask the client, like, where have you actually got this information from? Can you show us the workings? Then we do the working ourselves to see if it actually matches their working. So a lot of the time we'll have to go back to the client, email, ask for invoices, and that takes up most of the time. Like they can take like sometimes a week just to respond. So I think chasing them is a lot of effort and making sure that, you know, they understand we need this work, as we have nothing to do.
Yeah.
But within your team as well, you'll have you'll have an E0, which is like first year apprentice, and E1, which is like in their first year, E2, E3, E4. We also have graduates who join the graduate scheme. They join as an E1 and they have E2, E3. So you'll have a mix of apprentices and grads, and then an in charge, which is assistant manager, and then a manager. So I think having people at different levels of their scheme really helps. I know, like, if I'm struggling on a work paper, sometimes I won't just go directly to my in charge. I'll go to like an E2 or an E3 because I know they've done it at my stage and they remember how to do it a lot more easier than someone who hasn't done it for a while because they're more experienced. So we have like different areas like sales, purchases, HR, inventory. So you'll get given like a sector of that to work on the work papers for that. If you're in planning, you'll do like walkthroughs where you'll talk to the client. Can you tell me the steps of how you get from place A to place B, from the invoices to when you send it out to customers? If you're working on like the statutory accounts, you'll like cross-reference everything that came from the invoices, and sort of it's really important that you understand why you're doing the work rather than just doing it for the sake of it. If you don't understand why you're doing it, then there's a chance you're probably going to do it wrong.
Yeah.
And I think audit has a lot of review notes as well, so most time you won't get stuff right, but the manager, they'll leave commentary on your work papers and they'll say, just can you amend this, can you do that? And I think that's what puts people off audit a lot. Sometimes you'll start a day and you've got like 100 review notes and you think, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm terrible at my job.
Not at all.
Yeah, but I think just communicating, if you don't understand the review note, a lot of time it is easy. It's just like, can you change this figure to that, or can you add in some more reference so we understand how we've got to that point? But if you don't understand it, you can ask someone else and they happily explain it to you.
Yeah. And that's, you know, the key thing about an apprenticeship, right? They wanted to have you in their team. You're not a burden to their team at all. Like, they want to help you, and there's other apprentices or ex-apprentices or grads in the team that can also support you on that journey. And what would you say, if there is any, maybe some challenges that you faced on your apprenticeship so far? You know, we'll go on to the highlights in a minute, but let's start with, you know, what are those challenges that perhaps you didn't plan for or came as a bit of surprise? Kalila, let's go with you first.
I think for me at the start was having to actually reach out for work. Like when you come from sixth form, you get given work, you get given your homework, you know, everything is planned for you. So when you enter this workspace, you have to really be quite proactive. I was quite nervous to actually like message people on Teams and say, do you have anything that I could help with? Because you do feel like a burden, you feel like you're nagging them. But once you get used to it and you start reaching out to people and getting more familiar with your team, people will start reaching back out to you, even if they don't have anything for you at the moment. In a week's time, they might say, hey, have you still got capacity? Can you help me on this? So I think I wasn't really prepared for that, but my PL and the seniors in my team were really like understanding about it. And they're like, don't worry if you haven't got much to do. It's not you. It's just the time of the year. Just keep reaching out. And I think another thing that I wasn't prepared for was how college worked.
Okay.
It's very compact, our scheme. So when I first started, we were in college for 10 days straight. So two weeks. And then you sit an exam like 2 weeks afterwards. So every day you come in, you've got a lot to learn. So for me, it was about keeping on top of my revision. I would go back home, summarize what we learned today, anything I didn't understand, write down a couple of questions to ask my tutor or just email it to them, because it's very fast paced. And then after that, it's a lot of self-directed learning, making sure that you're doing the revision, making sure that you're doing the tests that are online, because no one is going to remind you. You've just got to do it for your benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got your cohort to support you because you're all sitting the same exam. So I really like that even though I'm doing tax and a lot of people are doing audit, I'm not segregated. I can still ask them like, hey, did you understand this?
Yeah.
Like, no, I didn't. So you sit down and you work through it. So I think those were the two biggest jumps for me coming out of sixth form.
Yeah. And what about yourself?
I feel like at my college they really spoon-fed me. So I think doing my exams myself and like actually having to revise on my own, it was really difficult at first. I felt like I didn't really know how to revise all of a sudden, because I'd get like all my flashcards made from my college was always giving me.
Wow,
and
it's amazing.
They like really pushed it.
Yeah.
But I think having to work independently, knowing you're responsible for stuff on your own, it was really daunting at first. And I think I also, like I said, like I'm quite a people pleaser, so setting that boundaries at first was really hard. Like you think it's scary going to like a manager and saying, oh, this is what I expect, because you feel like they're going to say, who are you? You've just joined.
Yeah.
But I think they're really understanding if you do make it clear. And I think what I like at KPMG is you don't set any exams during busy season, because I know it's going to be real difficult to revise during that time. But then when I do have an exam, I do say to them, like, if it's all right, I'm going to work from home this week, just so that time after 5 I can focus on revising rather than like travelling back home. And they're fine with that. People have done that in the past before, so they know that's something that's quite common. So I think getting into the swing of knowing that you are responsible for putting that time in place to revise and separating your time from work as well, I think that was a bit of a struggle for me.
Yeah. And how have you both found being females in, a male-dominated environment, which I know is changing quickly? How have you both found that in terms of like diversity and coming into a new environment? Brav, let's start with you first.
I feel like at the interview stage, I still found it was quite male-dominated.
Okay.
There was a lot of like guys in suits, and even at the group interviews, they dominated space a lot. Like they felt they were leading it. And I felt that was a bit daunting at first, but then when I actually was in the manager office on my teams, there was actually quite a lot of females. Even the managers, a lot of the managers are actually female, which was quite nice. I feel like if there's a female, you kind of feel a bit more comfortable to kind of go to them about issues. As like issues that maybe men might not relate to as well, it's easier to go to them, and they're more understanding. So I think having a space where there's women, it really helps. When I've had to work with colleagues that are male, I think it's important to sort of tell them, like, if there's issues, they need to be aware. Like, if men are going to work in a space of women and women are going to work in a space of men, they need to be aware of each other's issues just so they can understand how to like best suit the needs of everyone and make sure everything's done within capacity and time.
Yeah, absolutely. Kalila, anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, I think I was quite worried at first when you think of the finance industry, especially like 10 years ago, you think of like Wolf of Wall Street, very male dominated, like women aren't progressing, but that was just not the case, especially in the London office. I feel like it's very integrated. And I like to see that women have actually made it quite senior in the firm, that we're not all just, at the lower levels doing the entry-level jobs, that actually are like partners, senior managers in your team, and also just generally in the office that are female. And I like that KPMG does push women's only spaces. We have a lot of like events that focus on women and like our role in the workplace, and not only just in the workplace, but in the wider community in the world. And the team is really respectful. You have a lot of training on how to have office etiquette and how to treat your colleagues generally. So I feel like it was really inclusive. And if you did have any worries, there are so many people that you can speak to, and it's all confidential. You don't have to worry about how that's going to affect you or your reputation. They just want to make sure that like you are feeling comfortable at work.
Yeah, 100%. And let's end on what you both enjoy the most about your role, KPMG. Yeah, let's end on a high. So, Rav, let's start with you.
I think I like that my role isn't just audit. I have so many opportunities to go into different fields. I know a lot of people after apprenticeship as well, they move into different departments as well, and there's that opportunity to do that. So I think the fact that KPMG allows you to sort of be so flexible and take on board any new learning, it's really important to me as a person as well. I love to learn new things. So I think the fact that I'm given the opportunity to not just be stuck in like just an audit focused role, I think having that space for collaboration with people who you wouldn't have worked with if you just focus on audit is quite nice as well.
Yeah, Kalila?
I really like about my apprenticeship that I get to rotate each year. So I get to try out different tax departments. So that way I can really decide on where I want to specialize and get a real breadth of what tax is like. And I like the fact that you feel together. Like I like going into the office. We do a lot of team socials. So I feel like growing up, I feel integrated with my team. And I love college because you still get that social aspect that I thought I was going to miss out on in uni. You're with loads of people your age. You do a lot of fun things together. So, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you both so much for your time today. It's been so interesting to hear about your journey from school to KPMG, and best of luck for the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.